Hello and welcome to this Decision Virginia special right here on NBC 12. I'm Anthony Antoine. Election Day is Tuesday, November 2nd, and the Commonwealth is being watched oh so closely all around the country because it is one of just two states with governor's races this year, the other being New Jersey. But this race right here in the Commonwealth is seen as a bit of a litmus test for what voters will do in 2022. I'm joined by NBC 12's Director of Investigations, Rachel DePompa. And Rachel, Republicans hoping to turn the tide here. It's been quite some time since Republicans have won a statewide race. We're talking 2009.
That's right, Anthony. Former Governor Bob McDonnell was the last to do this. But history may be on Republican side on election night. Get this. Since 1976, 45 years, there's been a distinct pattern in Virginia. The party that wins the presidency loses the governor's race the next year. Now, that has only been disrupted once in those 45 years, and that's what's giving Democrats hope here as Terry McAuliffe won the governor's mansion after Barack Obama was elected, Anthony, in 2012.
So when we're talking about Terry McAuliffe here, he is obviously the former governor and he wants his old job back, something that's only been done once before this in the Commonwealth's history. So what are we seeing here? When was the last time that happened?
48 years ago, Anthony, Mills Godwin accomplished what McAuliffe aims to do here. Now, he was Virginia's 60th and 62nd governor, winning, get this, both as a Democrat and a Republican. He changed parties for the second run. He is the only man to serve two terms as Virginia's governor since the Civil War. And all of this is because of a state law which limits a governor to a single term, meaning you can't run back to back.
All right, Rachel, interesting piece of history here to start us off. So we're going to check back with you in just a couple of minutes here, but we do want to get straight to some of the candidate profile segments on the two men and the one woman who will appear on your ballot for governor. Political reporter Henry Graff joins us now after he caught up with Republican Glenn Youngkin.
Former President Trump lost the state by 10 points in 2020. In that shadow, Youngkin is trying to come off as a more palatable Republican, hoping to win over moderates.
All right, just regular is good for you.
Fueling up cars isn't the only thing Glenn Youngkin is doing these days. He's also fueling up his campaign promises if elected Virginia's next governor.
Government doesn't work for us. It seems to be telling us what to do, and even things like the DMV really don't work for us anymore. And so we have a really focused day one agenda.
That includes a series of tax cuts. Youngkin wants to eliminate the grocery tax, double standard tax deductions, offer a tax rebate, and suspend an increase in the gas tax.
Here we are in the middle of the pandemic, and the liberal leadership in Richmond keeps raising taxes, and so we're going to give everybody a break for a year.
We caught up with Youngkin during a campaign stop in Henrico County to talk about his ambitious agenda. After logging more than 75,000 miles and meeting tens of thousands of people, the Republican candidate thinks he has enough support for his party to reclaim the executive branch of government.
And what I've heard over and over again is that Virginia's too expensive to live in. Our schools aren't delivering for us. I'm worried about my job, particularly as we come out of this pandemic. It's not your imagination. Consumer prices are going up.
Youngkin is pledging to create 400,000 jobs over 4 years and foster 10,000 startup businesses. But the economy isn't his only talking point. The 54-year-old also claims he will preside over the largest budget ever for Virginia schools and will support police.
We've got to invest in law enforcement, we've got to protect qualified immunity, and we've got to invest in our mental health system.
On abortion, Youngkin says he's against it, except in certain cases. The former private equity firm CEO also says he will overhaul the Department of Motor Vehicles and the Virginia Employment Commission with customer service in mind. Youngkin banking on being a political outsider to usher him straight into the governor's mansion.
I mean, I have a 30-year business career. I've been building business and creating jobs and delivering results. And I think politicians are really good at making promises and not fulfilling them.
Trump has endorsed Youngkin multiple times. Youngkin says he would support Donald Trump should he be the Republican nominee for president in 2024. On your side in Richmond, Henry Graff, NBC 12 News.
All right, Henry, thank you so much. Turning now to Youngkin's opponent, former Governor Terry McAuliffe. And Henry is joining us once again to find out why the Democrat wants another go at the executive mansion.
President Biden won this state by 10 points in 2020. So McAuliffe is riding a blue wave, one that's kept Democrats in control here in Virginia for more than a decade. He did it once, And now Terry McAuliffe wants to be governor again.
A lot of people asked me to come back. I got us out of a crisis before. We had sequestration, the Great Recession.
McAuliffe says he's best equipped to lead the state out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And while that's a priority, the Democrat has 20 pages of plans.
You know, record investment in education. We got to pay our teachers above the national average. We don't do that.
During a rainy campaign stop in Charlottesville, McAuliffe told me if elected, he would first meet with state lawmakers to bolster teacher pay.
Richmond has always tried to do things on the cheap, and we can't. We've lost too many good teachers.
Broadband access is another campaign promise for McAuliffe. He says a switch to online learning has highlighted equity gaps.
Look at COVID. 14% of our students did not have access to broadband, and we have online learning. I mean, that's not fair.
McAuliffe has support from the White House.
I ran against Donald Trump, and so is Terry.
With President Biden hitting the campaign trail with the candidate in Northern Virginia over the summer. The race is tight, with Virginia seen as a referendum on what's happening or not in Washington.
There's some real big differences in the campaign.
But McAuliffe is hoping his clear priorities, like getting 700,000 Virginians health insurance if given the chance, and defending a woman's right to choose, will help put him back inside the governor's mansion.
Big ideas, big plans. I did it before, and I'm excited to do it again.
On your side, Henry Graff, NBC 12 News.
All right, Henry just told you about the top two candidates, but there is a third candidate that is making history as the first woman of color to make the ballot in Virginia for governor. Princess Blanding did not officially appear in either debate, but interrupted the second one to make her voice heard.
Princess Blanding says she's offering up a different option for liberals. She's tired of the dominant two-party system here in Virginia and is slowly chipping away at it. It was this moment when Princess Blanding knew she had to act. Richmond's uprising in the summer of 2020 showed her those in power need to do more.
What I quickly saw was that our legislators were very performative and that they were only willing to deliver crumbs when the people were crying and begging for the full course meal.
Blanding says those crumbs include the removal of Confederate statues and declaring Juneteenth a state holiday.
Today, I am grateful to announce my candidacy.
Blanding is running for governor as the Liberation Party candidate and is the first woman of color to make the ballot.
We know that the forces are not in our favor. However, we're going to spend our energy on reaching every Virginian to make sure that they know that we are a choice on the ballot.
Challenging the system is what Blanding does. She wants Democrats in Richmond to stop passing what she calls weak, watered-down legislation. Blanding wants to end qualified immunity for police, a sticking point for Democrats in full control at the state capitol.
We can no longer continue to beg our oppressors to be our saviors because they're not going to.
In December, she even blasted current Governor Ralph Northam and others at a ceremony for legislation that established the Marcus Alert System, a measure that will establish a statewide mental health awareness response and community understanding services.
Marcus is with me every single day.
Blanding often thinks of her brother Marcus David Peters. In 2018, a Richmond police officer shot and killed Peters, who was having a mental health crisis. We spoke with Blanding at the circle which now bears her brother's name.
It is time that we expand our fights from the streets and into the seats of these key elected positions.
Blanding says a vote for her is not a vote for a Republican. All she asks is that you look at the themes of her campaign: humanity and equity. Blanding was excluded from the only two debates in the governor's race. She did make her voice heard at the last one, interrupting the event, also highlighting what she says is again the issue with the two-party system here in Virginia. On your side in Richmond, Henry Graff, NBC 12 News.
Henry, thanks. And voters in the city of Richmond will have a special question on their ballot. And it's a simple yes or no. Do you want a casino in the River City? We're bringing back our Rachel DePompa here to bring us some details on the proposal and how other cities in Virginia have handled this when asked that similar question on a referendum.
Well, Anthony, there were initially 5 proposed casinos for Virginia, and 4 other cities in the Commonwealth have already overwhelmingly said yes. Those are Norfolk, Portsmouth, Danville, and Bristol. Now, as you mentioned, this is a simple yes or no vote for Richmonders, and a simple majority will win here. The one casino and resort would be built on the city's south side, just south of the Philip Morris tobacco plant along I-95 that you drive by. This is a vacant property. The one casino could be the nation's only majority black-owned casino and resort. It's a $565 million venture that would bring jobs and tax revenues to the city. Now, Urban One is the company trying to garner support for it, and you've probably seen their ads on TV, heard them on the radio, the billboards, and social media. Now, if voters say yes, there's an interesting part to this. The city will get a lump sum payment of $25 million to spend how it wants. And Anthony, there is opposition. There's a group called Richmond for All that's been canvassing neighborhoods trying to get people to vote no.
And we'll certainly see what happens on November 2nd. Rachel, thank you so much. But don't go anywhere. Every single seat in Virginia's House of Delegates is up for grabs on Election Day, and a slim majority for Democrats may be in jeopardy. We're breaking down the big races to watch right here in Central Virginia after this quick break.